Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast. Today, I've got on Jason Wood. Jason is a former Army captain. He is a ultra marathon runner, a Spartan racer, and a girl dad. Jason recently has completed three 24-hour, over 100-mile races, one wearing a 20-pound vest. And he's about to run 48 hours straight on a treadmill, trying to break a record for 200 miles in 48 hours. Jason, I am super pumped to have you on. What did we chat about today?
Yeah, so we went through just some of my military career and the impacts that the military has had on me, and how it helped grow me as a person, and then moved into my next portion of my life, which is the ultra endurance athletes piece, the ultra running, and how ultra running has not only just impacted me as an athlete, but also my life as a father and as a man, and how I've grown to become a better person and more well-rounded because of it. And then we finished up just talking about this crazy 48-hour treadmill run that I'm attempting to do, specifically to raise awareness for men's mental health and the importance I view on men breaking the stigma, reaching out for help, and growing ourselves as men and as individuals, and being more involved not only in the community but also in our families' lives.
Yeah, Jason, I thought it was an awesome conversation, man. Super pumped to watch you suck for 48 hours straight on a treadmill. I'm going to be tuning in on that one for sure. But no, love the conversation and kind of how we brought it back to being a better dad, right? And taking all these challenges. How can we take the lessons learned there? How can we use that to help fuel us in our adventure through fatherhood, and really to help lead, specifically with me and you, our daughters. How do we lead them on the right path? And so, guys, you're going to love this conversation. Jason, thanks for coming on, and let's hop into the episode. Are you ready to become the dad you know you are meant to be? Good, because this is the Epic Dad Legacy Podcast, where imperfect action is better than perfect ideas, promises kept are more important than promises made, and nothing happens unless you make it happen. My name is Drew, father of three, and founder of the Epic Dad Company. My mission is to help dads up their game and become the husbands, fathers, and men they're called to be. Thanks for listening. Now let's start the episode. All right, Jason, what is up, man?
Hey, Drew, nice to meet you finally.
Yeah, I know, right? We've been liking each other's posts on Instagram for like the past year.
Yeah.
And we finally got to put some time on the calendar, man, to get together. So I'm super, super happy you're here, man.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, I to start off, I let a couple people know that we were going to be doing this interview, and then I had a buddy of mine, Ryan Parr, reach out and was like, "Hey, man, I did a podcast with him a while back ago. Jason's an awesome dude. So how do you know Ryan?"
Again, it was just Instagram.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where we were like following each other, and then eventually over time, he was like, "Hey, come on the podcast and let's do a talk." And so, yeah, Ryan's great. I talked to him probably that was pre-pandemic, I think, was when I did his podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Ryan is an awesome dude, man. Isn't it crazy, like, how you can create these relationships just with like like the advent of social media? Where like you would never be able to connect with these people, in like the old world before we had all this stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the ability to grow your reach and like be able to talk to people from all over with similar, interests and perspectives is just amazing what we can do now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Because like back in the day, you were like limited to like your specific neighborhood, like who your coworkers were, whatever, and it's just fun to like, and social media, like there's good and bad with it, and part of the bad is just like scrolling through and seeing all the negative stuff, and but part of the good is you can like connect with men that are on the same journey, have the same mindset, and be like, I would never have met this guy, in the real world.
So
exactly. It's awesome, dude. So, well, Jason, man, what can you tell people, just kind of give like a 1-minute pitch about what you're about, and then we'll dive into it, some of the crazy stuff you've been up to, but just give people an overview.
Yeah, so I guess start things off. I'm a U.S. Army combat veteran. I served in the military from 2004 to 2011. Did 3 tours to Iraq, 1-year tours to Iraq during that time frame. And then 2011 came around, and just decided, after my last job was as an aide to a 2-star. And after that job, I kind of decided to try my hand at something different. So I got out, joined the civilian world, and became a defense contractor. So still speak the same kind of language in a lot of ways, but I've been doing the defense contracting for 10, 11 years now.
You're still doing that?
Yeah, still doing that. I
Okay.
work more on the IT side now. So
Okay.
the projects and programs I work with now pretty much work with the military and their how IT software applications can enhance their business processes, and we
Okay.
integrate all that for them. So it's pretty interesting work now.
I'm gonna say
Much
we could
different than what we
definitely,
did in the
yeah, the
past.
state of Georgia could definitely use your help on that, man, for sure. Like, was just on a field exercise for like a week and a half. It's at a good old Fort Stewart. I'm not sure if you've been down there or
Yeah,
not, but not a fun place. But yeah, it seems like nothing works, right? we put out together all these plans, so we're like, all right, like this system's going to connect to this system, and I'm an Intel guy, so it's like, all right, our system's going to integrate with CPOF and
yeah,
all this stuff, and then like we get to the talk and just like nothing works, so we're like, all right, I guess we'll just make a PowerPoint.
yeah. No, it's amazing. Once I got into that world to see what industry does with their software and how quickly you can develop and move forward, like just your iPhone, for instance. I mean, you get a new update for bugs like every month or whatever it is. And then on the military side, the DoD side, how they were still working off stuff from like the 60s.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, it's
We're way
interesting to say the
behind.
least.
Yeah, we are
Yeah,
way behind. So
yeah,
yeah, it's we were trying to this last exercise. Yeah, we're I'm staff, right? I'm staff officer, so like we're helping out in the planning process. And for people who don't know, like staff is basically like a bunch of officers that probably don't want to be there. Uh, like they've already done some fun stuff, but now they're like stuck in staff. And like our job is to help like the commander plan
yeah,
and like produce the order, right? Like tell people what to do. So we go through this whole planning process, and like we have to be integrated in everything we do, right? Because what affects like operationally, like the infantry guys, it's going to affect the logistics guys, it's going to affect the comms guys, all that stuff. And so like we have to integrate, and we're all building these different PowerPoints and stuff, and we're like, all right, who's owning the master? Who's doing this? Blah blah blah. Did you have your updates? And I'm like, man, it'd be so much easier if we were just working off a Google Doc right now.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like, like just that simple. Like, can we just not
yeah,
do that? But
yeah,
so defense contracting, man, that's cool. So you're still doing
yeah.
it today. Is there a lot of travel and stuff involved with that? You heading to different bases and
There used to be the since the pandemic. I think everybody's kind of used to being able to do things like this, like work from
yeah,
home and do Zoom meetings and things like that. So there's definitely been limitation on travel just because of that. The government realizes they don't have to spend as much money sending people all over the place
yeah,
anymore. They can just hook people together on a Microsoft Teams call and move forward. So it's nice from that perspective. And then also, I think the realization hit that we don't need all these people to be physically in a building anymore.
yeah,
We can let people work from home. So I work from home a good majority of my time now, which allows me to do other things while I'm still working. So like lunchtime I can go jump on the treadmill in my
yeah,
spare bedroom and get an hour run in while I'm still checking emails on the phone, kind of thing.
yeah.
So it's nice from that perspective,
Okay,
definitely.
okay, cool, man. And then you've gotten into running a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's interesting how that all kind of grew. So when I grew up and, through my life, I played baseball and football. I had a scholarship to play football in college. So played 4 years in college.
where'd you
And
play?
then it was a small school in Kentucky called the University of the Cumberlands. They're NAIA, kind of Division II,
Okay,
kind of similar. They still give scholarships and everything. And that's kind of where I was at in life after uh, graduating high school. My parents had me when they were teenagers. So it was one of those things where saving for college wasn't kind of their priority. So for me, it was how do I get into college and pay for college? And football paid for half, and then ROTC paid for the other half, the tuition portion of everything. So that helped me get into school. And when I signed that ROTC scholarship, it was 1999 when I signed the ROTC scholarship. So before 9/11 had
yeah,
happened. So the guidance counselor is like, "Oh, this is easy. You'll join the military. Nothing will happen."
yeah.
And then 9/11 happened my sophomore year of college,
You
and
were how old were you then? Sophomore year. I'm thinking you're like 19, 20.
I was 20, 21 at that
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
So right around there. And then they obviously let me graduate college before I had to go to my officer basic course. And then literally May of '04, graduated college. 6 months later, I was in Iraq.
Yeah.
So
What was your branch?
I was legit. I was a logistician. I was transportation. So
Okay.
we were the ones doing the convoys and everything all over Iraq.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. The first deployment, I was in Mosul up in northern Iraq, and during that time where it was the tip of the triangle of death is what they called it, and we were tied in with the 25th Infantry Division, and we did a lot of their logistics for the airfield there and had to move in stuff in and out of the base there. And then my second deployment was the most interesting one, I'd say. We kind of transitioned into being a gun truck convoy escort unit.
Yeah.
So we were responsible for making sure the logistics convoys got to wherever they were going in Iraq safely. So we would meet them at the border of Kuwait and Iraq. And then we could be on missions for as long as 24 days, just taking them all the way up to the northern part of Iraq or out in Ramadi. And
I imagine you saw some pretty heavy stuff on that one, man.
Yeah. So that one out of I think my OER states out of 16 missions I went on, 7 were in either I either got hit with an IED or came in with smaller fire, those kind of different things. So and so that was that deployment, and then I came back for another year and then deployed again. This time I was a company commander, so I got a chance to deploy a whole 230 plus unit, 230 plus individual unit out there, and it was fun because at that time I was in the Baghdad area, and I got nicknamed the $1 million man, or the $100 million man, because I ended up, the way it was working then, the Army was deploying individual platoons versus entire battalions and companies and things. And so when I got there, I ended up having 2 platoons from other units from other parts of the world attached to my unit. So we ended up growing my company level. My company level command was 300 people, and I had everything from tractor trailers and stuff that moved, tanks, to staging yard equipment for things that you see moving around, containers and things like that out in staging yards. So it was a lot, but it was a really good deployment. And when I got back from that, they gave me a break job as a aide to a 2-star general, which was not necessarily a break job. But he was an amazing individual. His name is Jim Hodge, and let me tell you, I learned so much, just more than just the military, about life in general and things from him. He was just a great mentor. And then from that point, it was kind of what you were alluding to earlier. It's from that point, I would just move to a staff job. And, the next big job you have in the military isn't until you're probably battalion command, which won't happen for years. So that played a role in like, hey, I've already done company command. I've done these awesome things. I've had these opportunities. Let's give the civilian world a shot. And that's kind of how I moved into where I'm at now.
Yeah, once you on the officer side, like you reach a certain point where you're like, it's just not really fun anymore.
Yeah. It's the what do I do with my hands?
Yeah.
You're doing PowerPoints.
I'm just gonna get yelled at because I made this PowerPoint wrong and I'm just not having fun. And man. So you got out in what year was your last deployment, I guess?
2008, 2009 was my last deployment, and then I got out. My last day of the military, my ETS date, was 9/11/2011. So
really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, we just missed each other, man. I came in active duty 2010.
Okay.
And then I was active 10 to 14. I was enlisted then, so I went to college, graduated, and then enlisted. And I was with the 82nd for a few years.
Okay.
And then I never did Iraq, did Afghanistan. And then, got out in 14. And then for whatever reason, decided to come back in to the National Guard and commission. And, had a couple fun jobs. I branched intel, right, which is not what I was expecting. It was like, number 3 or 4 on the list.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, you're an intel guy now. It's like, all right, cool. But I've learned a lot for sure. But the funnest times were definitely like I was in an MI battalion. I was a PL, right? That was fun. Got to be company XO, which is not that much fun. And then you just move into staff, right?
Yeah.
And so you have like a small window to where you're like, all right, this is fun. I'm like in charge of dudes. Like we're going out running stuff.
Yep.
And then after that, it's just like admin stuff, just planning. So, I think it was a lot more fun on the enlisted side.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can see that you're more doing things. And that's kind of my thought process. I'm not necessarily a good desk person.
Yeah.
I got to be active doing things and kind of in the weeds. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, when did you start running?
So that happened. I guess I really got into that a couple years after the military. I had run some like half marathons, things like that. My first marathon distance, 26.2 miles, was actually at Camp Taji in Iraq. It was a Honolulu marathon, like, tie-in that they had. And so with no training, nothing, I just was like, let's go out and run 26 miles and pretty much
Yeah,
killed
in
myself.
Iraq heat. Yeah.
Yeah. In June in Iraq. So that was fun. But so I'd always been kind of a runner in some way for most part. And then after I got out of the military in 2011, I kind of immediately met my ex-wife now, but mother of my child, Camilla. We met, and then kind of things started to catch up with me, like mentally, physically. I think, I was struggling with identity after I got out of the military, didn't really know who I was, what I wanted to do with my life next, kind of thing, and who I wanted to be when I grew up. And then you tie that in with, I was diagnosed with PTSD, depression, anxiety, a lot of different things like that. And so I let myself mentally and physically just get out of shape. And it was to a point where I, went from, weighing 170, 180 pounds to like 240 pounds and in an unhealthy way. And it wasn't like I was bulking up to do a bodybuilding competition. It was just beer and alcohol and things that I was turning to kind of to self-medicate and get myself through the day and the night. And so after me and my ex split in 2016, late 2016, I kind of had that come to Jesus mirror moment where I looked at myself and said, what am I doing with my life, and what kind of an example am I providing to my daughter? And so I took that and kind of and started to just try to explore opportunities to get myself out there and get back to kind of the person that I thought I wanted to be at the time. And so I found a Groupon deal for a Spartan race in Virginia, and it was like $30. And so I was like, let's do it. So I signed up and then drove the 3 hours out to Bryce Resort, I think it was at Virginia, and did it. And it was at that point one of the harder things I had done in a while.
Yeah. What is I've done a Tough Mudder. I've never done a Spartan race.
Yeah.
What is the difference in those? Like, what's the Spartan race throwing at you?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some similarities with the obstacles and things, but Spartan definitely tends to be more running. I'd say for the most part. I think there's less of the teamwork type stuff you see in Tough Mudder. That the community is a little bit different there. It's more competitive, I feel like, on the Spartan side. And then they just got some different obstacles. I think just, they more heavy carries, more things in the mountains where they're trying to get you to climb up mountains and down mountains and things like that versus some of the Tough Mudder courses I've seen. But it was physically demanding. Bryce Resort wasn't too crazy with mountainous terrain or technical trail. But I just remember like doing the bucket carry, which is, it's a 40 or 50 pound bucket. I can't remember how much it exactly weighs. And I just remember like having to drop that thing like 15 times. And I got to a point where I just sat on it for like 5 minutes. Like, what the hell am I doing with my life?
Yeah. Did you do like any train? Like, you just found a Groupon. Did you do any train up for that? Or you just like, fuck it, let's do it?
So I did a little bit of training. It was not the right type of, I was doing like curls for the girls to train for a functional fitness type event. And it was just not the right kind. And then I remember jumping on a treadmill at One Life, literally signed up for a gym membership at One Life Fitness, like 2 months before this event. And I jumped on a treadmill, like thinking, all right, let's do a quick 3 mile run. I ran the 1 mile, like the first mile I ran was like 15 minutes and I was dying. And I was like, oh my God. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I struggled across that finish line at that race. But when I at the Spartan race, the finish line is normally like a fire jump.
Yeah.
So did the fire jump and then kind of crossed the finish line. And I just remember laying in like this open field in the festival area, like dying. But at that point, like kind of fall in love with the challenge.
Yeah, you're just like, this feels good.
Yeah.
Like I accomplished something, that was difficult, that maybe I wasn't ready for, but you did it though.
Yeah, exactly. So I finished that, and I was probably like ranked like, 150th out of however many. Like this was in the open heat. Like it wasn't even like the elite kind of heat that we're talking about, or the age groupers. So I kind of got addicted, and so I started signing up for more Spartan races that were in the local area, and eventually found myself in that. So the first race I did was in June of 17. The last race of that year was in December of 17. And by that point, I had lost 40 pounds and I was competing in the elite heats. And I was finishing, top 15, top 20 in the elite heats at that point. So complete kind of transformation from just, half a year prior from where I was. And then, and then from there, I kind of was focused on obstacle course racing and Spartan races specifically. But I was doing a lot of other things like Bone Frog and some of the other race series that are out there. I was qualifying for like obstacle course racing world championships and North American championships. And so I was really doing that for up until the pandemic started. And then when COVID happened, gyms shut down.
Yep.
Everything kind of closed up shop. And the only thing left to do was
Just
go outside and run.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll quick point on like your first Spartan race that you did. So I'm not a runner at all. I hate it. I do it, but I don't enjoy it. And I signed up as a challenge. I was like, fuck it, I've never done it before. I was like, let's just sign up. It was a half marathon, and that's the longest I've run ever.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I basically started. So I have like a Garmin watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can just plug in like what you want to do.
Yeah.
And it'll bring up a training plan for you. Yeah. And so I started that, and I was like going to give myself like 4 months. I was like, all right, 4 months, let's train up. And the date of the race was supposed to be before my son was born, but he was born early, so it like totally messed up my training plan. And so I went into that race so unprepared, and like talk about being humbled. I was on like mile 12, and like just cramping up, just like having to walk a little bit, and there's like grandmothers passing me, just like, are you okay? I was like, just keep going. Forget about me. So I totally understand that feeling, man, of like crossing the finish line. Like it felt great, right? To do it, and to kind of, even though it was a terrible result, it was still like I put forth my max effort and like I crossed the finish line. And once you do, man, it can be addicting, that feeling. Like I'm putting my everything into this. I'm accomplishing something that I didn't think I was able to do, prior. So totally get that, man. So you started running at that point then. So there's no gyms. You can't train for Spartan races and stuff. And then you're just like, screw it. I'll just go run 100 miles.
Yeah. Well, it started off, let's see. I'm trying to remember exactly the timeline, but I just remember I was getting really into the running aspect of everything. And so Memorial Day weekend, there was no races on the calendar. So I just remember Memorial Day weekend feeling like I was in really good shape. Like I felt like I was, on it. So I remember, I think it was Saturday of Memorial Day weekend of 2000. When did the pandemic start? 2020? Yeah, 2020. I think it was Memorial Saturday. I went out and I was like, I'm going to try to lay down the fastest mile time that I've ever run. And I was really hoping for sub 5. And I did a 4:58 mile. And I saw Jesus at the end of that. Like the last 200 meters, like I was like, oh, I'm dying. But I did that. And then I just remember that next day feeling like, okay, well, I've run the fastest I've ever run a mile in. I wonder how many miles I could run like in a run. And I went out and I've done marathons. So I've done the 26.2 thing, but I was kind of I wanted to really aim for like a 50K, like a 30 plus mile type run. And I went out the next day and I did on Sunday 30 miles. And I did that in like 4 hours and like, I want to say 4 hours, 20 minutes. It was right around 4 hours, 24 hours, 30 minutes. And I remember posting that time and some of my friends that had done ultra marathons were like, hey, that's nothing to really sneeze at. Like that's a pretty.
Yeah, I would say I've never run a marathon, but that sounds like a pretty good time.
Yeah.
Like my half was not too far away from that, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah. So they were like, hey, that's nothing to sneeze at, especially when you're not like specifically training for kind of the longer distances. And so I think that caught that piqued my interest. And so the next day, Memorial Day weekend, I went out and did Memorial Day Murph. And so I like completed that weekend of just like really challenging myself. And then I just got hooked on like running the longer distances. So I eventually went from doing kind of like eight miles a day, for 4 or 5, days out of the week where I was logging normally anywhere between 40 to 50 miles a week, to kind of gradually over time working my way up to 80, 90-mile weeks where I was doing, multiple 12 to 15-mile runs per day for, multiple days. And then finally kind of races opened up at the end of that year. And October of 2020, they finally opened up a ultra run here. It was a 13-hour run in Williamsburg, Virginia. And it was only 13 hours because the clock goes back an hour during that time frame. So literally at like 2 a.m., you finish a lap and it's still 2 a.m. So, but it was just laps of like a 3-4 mile loop over and over and over again for 13 hours. And I finished in second place at that. I did almost 70 miles in the 13 hours.
So that was basically just run as far as you can.
Yep.
In 13 hours. Okay.
Just run as much as you can. And so that first one was a real learning experience for me, because I did well, but as far as the nutrition and how your body's going to feel at that distance, there's not a really good, you're not, when you're training for those kind of distances, you're not logging like a 70-mile run during your training.
You're not doing that in training,
Yeah. So you're not really knowing what you're going to feel like till you get to that point. So it was a good learning aspect for me, but that second place finish was in that distance for me was like, all right, I want more now. And that's kind of how I started getting into the hundreds.
What is your pace like when you're running that far?
Well, now, and I'm a little, everybody's got different strategies when you look at like 100-mile type run. For me, like I like to bank as many miles as I can when I'm feeling good, and then honestly try to survive the last back half.
Yeah. You're not like start slow, stay steady.
Yeah. So for me, I can get to the point now where the Virginia Run for Cancer 24-hour that I did back in April, I did the first 50 miles at a 9:47 second pace per mile. And then the back half, you kind of slow down. I dealt with some issues, stomach issues. You get a lot of, GI issues, those kind of different things on those kind of run. And then you work yourself through it. But it was funny because that race specifically, the Virginia Run for Cancer 24-hour, I was battling for second, third place. I was, I think, in third place at the time. And you have 24 hours to run as many miles as you can. And I got through 101 miles with like 1 hour left. And they allow you at that point in most 24-hour races to do like half mile out and back. So you can get like a mile in. And I just remember something clicked at that moment where I was battling it out. It was getting competitive. And I just started laying down like hammer miles. The last miles before that were like 13, 14, 15-minute miles. That last I did 105 miles total. The last 4 miles were like, 8 minute, 7 minute kind of. I had dropped it all the way back down to like when I was feeling like fastest miles of the day kind of times at those last 4 miles. And I ended up finishing in second place because of it. So, I don't know, those kind of challenges and that ability to find something out about yourself that you didn't know existed at that moment. That race just really meant a lot to me because of that reason.
Yeah. And how, like, bring it back to your military service, right? And you talked about, hey, struggle with some PTSD, struggle with some personal things, right? Like how is that, been in relation to these challenges that you're taking on? And has that been just a huge help in kind of thinking through like, hey, I need to get my mind off of things. This is something I can focus on and challenge myself and really, put everything into. And like you were saying, kind of, find new meaning, find new purpose, find new identity.
Yeah. So, the military service and everything that I went through, all the kind of the struggles that I've been through in my life have definitely played a huge role in me being able to be at least somewhat successful in the ultra world. I think Joe Rogan had talked to Courtney DeWalter on a podcast one time, and she's a great ultra runner. She's one of the all-time, goats of the sport. And he was mentioning like, a lot of people he talks to that are in that community, you almost have to have that demon, that's something in you that drives you. You don't see a lot of, people in their early 20s really successful at ultra running. A lot of times you're going to see a lot of older late 30s, 40s, even 50-year-olds that are good at it. And my thought process there is you have to experience some level of struggle in your life. You have to have gone through some stuff to be able to get to mile 80 and or 70 or 60 or wherever you're at and really feel that struggle and that pain and be able to overcome it and be able to say, I can get through this. It's only, another few hours or whatever it is. So I really feel like that aspect of my life where I went through a lot of struggle, I went through a lot of pain, I've been through a lot of different things. I've had that moment where I've thought about even taking my own life kind of thing. All that has kind of benefited me in this world because not like nothing can be, I just, nothing's hard at that point because you're just at mile 80 and you're like, hey, it's only 20 more miles. It's only, however many more hours this is going to be out here. I've struggled with worse things in my life. Let's push through and finish. Let's finish what we started.
Yeah.
And so that aspect has definitely meant a lot.
Yeah. And I would think the inverse is true as well, right? Like,
yeah,
all those struggles that you're putting yourself through, in the ultra world are going to help prepare you and help, make you harder and stronger for whatever comes your way in the personal side too, right? So it's kind of an inverse relationship and they feed off of each other.
Yeah. And so, I think just some of the things I've put myself through lately, I've just really, and like you said, added to what I'm doing, what I'm trying to be as a man, as a father, those kind of things, and continuous growth. I climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, it was one of those interesting things, the conversations I got into with somebody. I was gone for 10 days to Africa, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And somebody asked me, do you view that as being somewhat selfish though, because you're not at home spending time with your daughter and doing, things with her? And my answer to that is simple. We need those things in our lives that push ourselves, that we go out and do on our own sometimes to grow ourselves and come back and be better fathers for our family and grow ourselves so that you can come back and be a better person for the person you're married to or dating or your loved one, whoever it is. We need those experiences that we can bring over into our personal lives. And it's therapeutic. It's, for me at least, I know going, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro was one of those things where you're just looking around, just thinking about life in general and what you want to do and the other challenges you want to chase and how you can be a better person and a better father and those kind of things. And during the 100-mile runs, I run with, a lot of people call me crazy, but I run with no music. I don't, for 100 miles, It's just me, the woods, the trail, out there. And you get a chance to really think through a lot of things that you're going through life, that you want to do in life, things that from your past, because those demons will rise up at mile 80 and be like, hey, remember us? But I think overcoming those things and then really giving yourself a chance to really think about life in general and what you want to do and what you want to be, that those are good opportunities for me. Everybody's got their own thing, obviously. Mine's just happens to be extreme type, run 100 miles, climb mountains, do those kind of things.
Yeah. So I want to hear about Kilimanjaro for sure, but I want to touch on one thing first too. You mentioned getting some negative feedback of like, hey, don't you think that's selfish? And like I feel like a lot of guys kind of look at that and they're like, hey, my role, is like I need to go to work and then I need to be with my family. And it's like those two things, and they feel like selfish if they're out pursuing things like trying to have goals, trying to have challenges, and like a way around personal development. And I would just argue same way you would, like you need that time. You need to be chasing something because it's going to allow you to become that better person for your family. And so that's awesome to hear that. And on Kilimanjaro, tell me about that experience, man. I know nothing about it. So like, are you like, one, how high is it?
Yeah.
Like, two, how long does it take? And like, are you with a group? Like, I want to hear about that.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We got a chance to climb with an amazing group of people. It was actually for a world record attempt. We were going to climb Kilimanjaro, go down into the crater, and then do kind of a 10 obstacle course in the crater of Kilimanjaro. So it was like world's highest Ninja Warrior obstacle course kind of thing. So went with a group of about, I think it was roughly 40 people. And we took the Machame route, which is it's a prettier route. It spans out a couple days. I think it took 6 days total to make the hike up Kilimanjaro, and it allows you to acclimatize easier
Yeah.
than trying to do a faster route up. The mountain I don't everybody there was talking in meters because they're all from like the UK and stuff. But I was like, how many feet? How many
Right.
feet are we
Yeah.
talking here? So it's I think it's 19,131 or 4 feet, somewhere around there. So a little over 19,000 feet high. So it makes it the tallest freestanding mountain in the world.
Okay.
It's not part of a mountain range at
Yeah.
all. So it was a beautiful like just climb. Like I think the biggest struggle for me was summit night. You mainly during that route kind of stay around 13 to 15,000 feet in elevation, and then summit night you're making the push from roughly 15 to 19,000.
Yeah.
And so you can be the greatest athlete in the world. Or you could be, a normal everyday, doesn't do much kind of person, and your bodies are going to react totally different to that kind of elevation. So for me personally, I struggled with it like pretty badly. I got to like, again, it was to a point where there's almost kind of a false summit to Kilimanjaro,
Yeah.
and then your
I'm
port your
there.
port
I'm
your
there.
yeah, your porter will
Oh.
be like, nope, 200 more meters that way. And so you're doing switchbacks up, and I started to kind of feel loopy. And then I just remember my porter was the most amazing human being I've ever been around. Like he wearing like Vans climbing Kilimanjaro. And so he was pushing me along. He was like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And so I just started really focusing in on this next step, just one step at a time. And I had my hiking sticks and just doing that, like one more step, kind of almost drawing that line where it's like I just get to that rock 5 feet in front of you. All right,
Yeah.
just get to this.
And then reset. Then I got
Yeah,
one
and then
more.
reset. Yep, and it was just that, and then got to the summit. We summited later that morning, and then after the summit, I don't know what happened. I don't know if my brain finally said you did it, but it was just shut down. Like it was time to just get down, and like I was basically carried down into the crater. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do the obstacle course. My blood oxygen saturation level normally at like normal altitude and everything is 100, between 96 and 100% for most people. Mine was down in the low 50s.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so most people when I came into the camp there in the crater, a lot of the friends that I'd hiked with or climbed the Kilimanjaro with were like, hey dude, you look gray. Like it looked rough. So they got me down to low camp as quickly as they could, and then slept it off a little bit there, and then started the hike down like 5 hours later. Just kept going down, and then we spent the night at another camp that was kind of halfway down Kilimanjaro, and part of the whole race for the world record thing was doing the obstacle course and then running down Kilimanjaro as fast as you could. And I missed the first phase of the phase one of the rundown. But I talked to the guys who had organized it, and I was like, "Hey, I know I don't qualify, and I know you can't get my results official, but I really want to do the rundown."
Yeah, but I'm running. Yeah.
Second day, and they were like, "Yeah, that's fine, that's fine." And so I ended up running down the second day, and I don't for the runners out there, everything's tracked through Strava.
Yeah.
And you can get like specific routes have fast times.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. There's a, I mean, nothing in comparison at all to Kilimanjaro. But there's this mountain. I used to live in North Georgia, like up in the mountains in North Georgia, and there's this mountain called Yona Mountain. It's got this cool like rock face on it,
Yeah.
and I would run up it probably like once a week or so. And yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of records and stuff on Strava.
Yeah.
It was like a competition to see like who can get up there the fastest.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I had no idea that Strava had a segment for the route that we were going down. So I just kind of ran down, and it's amazing because as you're going down the mountain, the oxygen, you can just feel yourself getting stronger.
Yeah.
And I just hammered it, and I ended up with the sixth fastest time ever down that specific segment from the halfway point of Kilimanjaro down. And so I was like, okay, that just makes me feel better that I at least did that portion of it. But yeah, I mean, it was an amazing group of people that I still talk to this day. We have a WhatsApp group chat that we still maintain contact with. One of the girls Christina Madsen. She's the world record holder for the fastest time up one of the routes of Kilimanjaro. And then she's also the world record holder for the, I don't know if you've ever heard of the 7 marathon, 7 continents, 7 days.
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's the world record holder. She broke it a couple years ago. She averaged like a 3 hour 14-minute marathon for all 7 marathons throughout the 7 days. And so she was an amazing athlete. And just, she's just one example of a lot of amazing people that I got a chance to meet with and go do this wonderful climb with. And then other opportunities for me have kind of stemmed from that, from meeting those individuals and kind of growing the spider web of awesome people that
are you is Everest in your view one day?
So I climbed with a couple of people that have done Everest, and in fact, one of the individuals I climbed with just finished summiting Everest a couple of weeks ago, and he's the first ever kidney transplant. I think he was from the military too. He was Air Force, and he did a kidney transplant for someone else, and he was the first person that had a kidney transplant that summited Everest, and he summited all. I want to say, I forget, it's not all 14 peaks, maybe it is, but he's an amazing climber himself and things like that. But yeah, it's Everest is probably in the picture, but it's not a priority. I've just heard some stories about how commercialized it is at this point. But yeah, I got some other goals, and one of the I'll be honest, one of the goals that me and my daughter have, she's 7, she'll be 8 in September. We just finished climbing Old Rag Mountain in Virginia, and it was her first summit. She had been wanting to do a mountain summit since I came down from Kilimanjaro. She was obsessed with the pictures I was showing her and everything. So I was like, look, we'll go one weekend and go climb a mountain. So Old Rag is 3 hours away from our house. It's doable for the most part, except for there's a rock scramble that's really kind of technical. So I was a little worried about her being doing that, but she showed me up. She was like, ninjaing up the rock scramble, and then we summited. And for me, that was better than Kilimanjaro. But just seeing the pride that she had climbed this mountain, this top of this mountain, and she had summited. I mean, that was better than anything that I've done and accomplished. And so immediately was, Daddy, is this the tallest mountain in Virginia? Like, no, there's this mountain called Mount Rogers. And so now it's Mount Rogers. So we're creating a plan together to climb on the East Coast, the tallest mountain and the tallest peak in each one of the states.
Okay.
Of course, when we get down to Florida, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's like a 50-meter hill or something.
Yeah, Georgia up through Vermont in that area. We got some stuff we can work with.
Yeah, well, let me know when y'all come down to Georgia, man. I'll definitely do it with you. I think the highest one that's not like you were saying, kind of commercialized. There's one that's Brasstown Bald, which I think is the actual highest peak. Okay. But there's not like really much hiking there. And so I think it might be like Blood Mountain, maybe the highest one that has like, I don't know. I'll send you a link, and I'm sure you can look it up too. But let me know, man, when you guys are in. My daughters would be down too. So that'd be a blast. And I love how you're kind of taking those challenges that you've had as an individual and thinking about like, hey, how do I build my daughter up, right? And I think it's so important to challenge yourself to figure out, how to do goal setting, how to challenge yourself, how to overcome adversity, and like instilling that in your daughter too.
Yeah, no, that's huge for me. I tell people all the time, like, I want her to be self-sufficient. I want her to have those kind of goals and things in life. And she's succeeding in life right now, and I'm loving it. She just tried out for and made the competitive dance team. She's playing tennis. She's doing great in school. She just finished second grade, and she's testing at like the 7th grade level for reading.
Jeez.
She's already smarter than me, but I mean, she's doing well, and I love it for her. And like, it's just things like that. Like, she's a very driven little girl, and I hope that I have played some role in showing her the way. And again, it goes back to that conversation of fathers and men being not only just more involved in their children's lives, but doing things for themselves that their kids can look up to and say, God, I want to be like Daddy. Daddy's like, be the superhero.
Yeah, man. It's like your daughter, I'm sure, is not different in the way that mine are. That they're not going to listen to like anything I say.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna watch what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
And same thing, like she saw you do Kilimanjaro, and she's saying, hey, I want to do that too. If
Yeah.
like I see my dad going after these things, working hard, like I want to do that too. And so
Yeah.
just setting the example, and that's part of goes back to our first part of the conversation about like, hey, it's not just like I go to work and then I'm with my family. Like you need to be doing things that are going to get you outside your comfort zone and like lead by example for your family, so that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm a firm believer in that. Like, I was definitely in that mode that you were talking about with the work and got to be like, it was one of those things where when she was born, it was immediately like, got to work hard, be a provider, you know, focus on this. And I'll be honest, like I was probably more disconnected from her then when I was really trying to be a provider and more focused on work and providing those things, the material things for her.
Yeah.
I was more disconnected then than when I'm leaving for 10 days to go climb a mountain, because when I come back, I'm even more connected with her.
Mm-hmm.
And, and our time is our time. I prioritize that. Like every time her mom and I split time 50-50. And so I get her for, half the week. And when it's my part of the week, it's our time. Like I don't make many adjustments to our schedule because I want to have that time with her.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then a race will come up or something will come up where we have to negotiate. But I think me and her mom, we co-parent very well. We communicate, which is critical to the whole, relationship there. And our focus is on her and making sure that we're providing for her and giving her the best opportunity to be successful in life as we can.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I don't have the experience in that. I can't imagine, how difficult that is. Yeah, trying to do the co-parenting thing, and it brings a whole host of complexities,
Yeah.
along with it. So yeah, so kudos to you, man, for going through that and making it work.
Yeah. Thanks.
And so I want to hear about like how do you specifically. So like when you look at yourself, right, Jason, like you don't look like an ultra marathon runner,
No.
right? Like you look like a guy that's hitting the gym, for like
Yeah.
3 hours a day. So
Yeah.
like, how do you bridge the gap between, being this like super muscular dude to like, all right, now I'm going to go just hop on and run 100 miles, like most marathon guys you see are going to be like skinny as rails, like 150 pounds, so.
Yeah, no, it's funny out on the trails because I'll line up at the start line sometimes, or even just be out on the course running, and you'll get weird looks like, why is this guy still running? Like, how's this happening? Even the start line, you take a start line picture, and I'll be the fat boy of the group. But no, I mean, I think for me, like I've wanted to be just well rounded. Specialization is nice for people that want to do that. Like I get it. Like there's certain people that want to be really see what they can do in that one aspect, whether if they want to try to be the top 10 in the world at ultra running, most of the time they're gonna look like ultra runners.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be the slighter frame, not carrying around a lot of muscle mass, kind of folks. And then just the opposite, you see the gym I go to, you got a lot of bodybuilders, bikini fitness girls, those kind of things that barely do cardio. Kind of thing. This 30 minutes is the max kind of thing. So for me, it's always been kind of the branding is why not both? Why can't you do both? And it's difficult to say the least to try to balance it out. But for me, really still focused on functional fitness, being able to move my body and lift weight and do the things that I think are critical to just living a healthy lifestyle, while also still wanting to see how far can I push myself? How far can I run? So I'm not going to lay down the fastest times. I mean, there's guys out there that are running, 6-minute miles for 100 miles. It's amazing what they're doing. Like one guy out of Lithuania, I think, just broke the world record. He ran 100 miles in less than 11 hours. And it's like, I'll never do that. I can't imagine myself doing that right now. I'll never get to that point, but let's see what I can do with achieving goals on both sides of the house.
Yeah. So you take that same guy though, right? And you're like, hey man,
let's go throw on.
Yeah. Let's go deadlift 450.
Yeah. Let's go through 225 on the bench and do an NFL style bench press.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah. So,
yeah. So, I mean, like, I think for me, it's just personal preference and goals that I want to achieve for myself. And I eat a lot, because on a 100-mile run, I think the last 100-miler I did, I burnt roughly 15 to 16,000 calories over that day. And so you're just trying to figure out how to eat and get back to body weight, always drinking water, doing those kind of different things. And I've always, for me, I think genetics has definitely played a role. I don't know how much, but my whole family, my brother's the defensive coordinator for the University of Richmond football team. He was an All-American football player. My dad was a big football guy. We carry, most of my family carries around mass pretty easily when you look around the family. So it's one of those things where I think it's very easy for me to do from that aspect to build mass. And then just the running the mileage and balancing it all out. I try to lift at a separate time. I don't combine them too often. So I'll try to lift in the morning, for instance, and morning breakfast is normally pretty big so that I can get a good lift in. And then in the afternoon, I'll go out and run anywhere between 10 to 15 miles, depending on what the training plan and what I'm trying to accomplish for that week. But I think it definitely played a huge role in me being successful in the 100-mile run I did with the
20-pound
tactical vest.
Yeah, I saw that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think being able to carry around that muscle mass and being able to add that 20 extra pounds really helped with me being able to push over the course of that 100 miles and then through 36 hours worth of moving my body there. So yeah, I mean, I just try to balance it out as best I can. And then a lot of guys will reach out to me and, want training plans and meal plans and things like that. And, I try to help out where I can, but everybody is different.
Yeah.
And, you can't necessarily follow my plan and achieve the same things, but I can help out where I can.
Yeah. I think, on the plan side too, like I said, the Garmin watch has one. Like if anybody has Garmin, like that's a great one. It's kind of not tailored towards like your specific style or whatever. But if you want to play it, like there's an easy one. Go on. Was it Hal Higdon or something? He's got a bunch of ones that I've done before. So they're out there. You can find them. But like to your point, Jason, I think it's gonna vary depending upon your body style, depending on the amount of time you have, what your goals are, and stuff like that. So. Yeah, what's the next big one? You've done Kilimanjaro. What's the next big race you're looking
for? So the next big thing. So I'm a huge advocate for like men's mental health specifically, and veteran mental health and just veterans in general and supporting organizations there where we can. The reason why men's mental health is so specific to me is because I don't think a lot of men know how to break the stigma of reaching out and asking for help and saying, hey, look, I've got an issue. I'm feeling this way, and being able to express those feelings to someone or reach out to someone for assistance and work through those things. Those are things that I had to do after my military service and after my separation and everything from my wife. It was one of those things where I was in a bad place. I remember being in a hotel room, really very close to taking my own life. And I truly think the only thing that really saved me in that situation was the thought of my daughter being without me as she grew up, those kind of things. And so I remember the next day going to my parents' house and knocking on the door, like just in tears, broken down, rock bottom. And my mom got me on the phone with the VA. We reached out and we started to talk to, some therapists and really, as I talked through my issues more and more, and I found myself setting like mini goals and with my therapist, and it was giving me more reasons for hope as I progressed through this thing. And so based on just my experiences alone with reaching out and finding help and working through some of those issues, I really believe like if you just reach out and ask for help or just talk about it, it can be a huge difference in your life. So that all to say, the next big thing for me is September at a local gym here, One Life Fitness in Newport News, Virginia. We're going to do a 48-hour treadmill run. I'm going to do 48 consecutive hours on a treadmill.
Oh my God, that sounds so terrible.
Yeah, trust me. Like I did a 20-miler on the treadmill recently, and I was like, how the hell am I going to do 48 hours?
Right? I know. You got to think of like, I don't know. You could put on Band of Brothers. There's 10 hours right there. I can
watch, all kinds of different things, get through a whole series of stuff. but so we're gonna do 48 hours consecutive on a treadmill at the
And you
local
said
gym.
who's we? Who's doing it with you?
So it's just me, but like I'm gonna have some sponsors that are gonna
Okay.
come in and help with the event, and really just try to boost up some organizations that are really
Yeah.
looking to help with men's mental health awareness specifically, and then raise some money for some organizations that are looking to do good things and try to provide for men in that community. So really focused in on that right now. And so I haven't really, I came off this recent 5 attempts at 100 miles in 5 months. My body was crushed after, the last one. So I was like, look, I'm gonna take a little bit of time here, let my body recover, get back to the gym, get back to kind of weightlifting and getting stronger and those kind of things, and then get back to the training plan here early July and start building my miles up, and with the peak hopefully being that's September 7th, 8th, 9th time frame when we're looking to jump on a treadmill and
That sounds so brutal. That
go
sounds, oh my
yeah.
God, that sounds terrible. Are you going to have like stuff to entertain yourself, or are you going to be like, no headphones? Like, let's just.
So yeah, we're gonna keep with the no headphones.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep with that, but we are. I'm working with some folks that are tied in with like the IT portion of everything. So I wear a Coros watch, which does heart rate, and just much like a Garmin does. So we're gonna try to get my vitals and all that stuff put up on the screen so
Yeah.
people can see the progress and those kind of different things. So if people were walking by in the gym or looking to cheer on anything,
Yeah.
they kind of see. So we're going to look to do that. And then, but otherwise we're going to set 2 treadmills up next to each other. And then if one breaks down, we have a backup, but that's going to be the setup. And we're going to go.
There's got to be some type of world record, like a Guinness.
So there is.
Here
So
on
obviously, as soon as I laid that down, I immediately said, how far?
Yeah. Like, what is the record?
So I think the record right now is it's right around 251 miles. I don't think necessarily I'll get to 251, but top 10 is pretty achievable ever on 48 hours on a treadmill. Considering that I did the 101 miles with a 20-pound vest in the 36 hours.
Oh, you got it, man.
Yeah, and then no elevation. There's on a treadmill. It's the one I did the 100-mile with the vest. It was, I think we did 13,000 feet of elevation throughout the entire.
This would be a cakewalk then, man.
Yeah, so I'm hoping it's going to be a cakewalk. We'll see. Things happen. Like it's one of those things where you can run a 100-miler one day and then you go do the same 100-miler the next year, and your body's just going to react differently. So
yeah,
it's just that distance is, and there's no real. You can look around on the internet all you want, but there's no true training plan for running 100+ miles. It's just figuring out.
Yeah, because everybody looks at it, they're like, "No, man, no."
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about that, and then really what I'm excited about getting back to is and so I'm going to do that, and then about a month later, I'm going up to New York to do an event called High Rocks. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No.
But it's more functional fitness type. It's got some endurance aspects to it, but it's an event out of Germany. It's CrossFit like, where you do there's 8 functional fitness stations, everything from 1,000-meter row to 1,000-meter skier to 100 wall balls. Those are all stations, and then there's a 1,000-meter run you have to do between each station.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to getting back into that because it ties in that endurance piece that I really like.
Yeah.
With that physical pushing around heavy sleds, pulling heavy sleds.
Yeah.
Doing heavy sandbag lunges, those kind of things that I really like to do too. So
yeah,
I've taken a little bit of time off from doing those type of events for the ultra running stuff, but I'm really excited to get back to it and see all this running and all this endurance stuff I've been doing. How has it improved what I really like to do on the back end?
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. We'll definitely be cheering you on, man, on the treadmill thing. Be logging in, checking your vitals.
Yeah.
What date in September is that?
Right now we're looking for the week. It's I believe it's 7th and 8th. We're looking for the week. It's that time prior to the September 11th event.
Yeah.
So I think September 11th this year is on a Sunday, and so we're trying to do it on a Thursday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday type time frame. the gym is 24 hours up until like Friday night. And so we're trying to fit the gym schedule, so we're not keeping employees over and all that kind of stuff. And then allowing, people to come in and spectators to watch and donate if they can. And just make it a fun time. I know we got a local brewery, Tradition Brewery, that's looking to pitch in and help out, doing some things, local barbershop, so just really focused on businesses and fundraisers and fundraising organizations that are focused on men and what men like to do and what men really focus in on for the other part of their life, kind of thing. So, and so, yeah, looking to have fun with that. And then one of the other big goals I have, and I was talking to somebody about this just yesterday, was I've been really wanting to start my own nonprofit for a long time, and specifically for young kids that are living without fathers and without men that are in their lives.
Well, you and I are going to have to chat offline about that, Jason.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm looking at wanting to set up something there, especially in our local community. I come from a community that has a lot of those types of issues, and so when you Google, just local nonprofits that provide that level of support in my local community, you don't come up with many search results. So that's something that kind of disappointed me when I was looking just recently. And so it kind of gave me the impetus to go out there and try to do something for my own, to kind of help there. And so looking to hopefully have kind of a mentorship type program where we can get men involved with children that are fatherless and they don't have men to look up to in their lives, and provide some level of support there, because the fatherlessness problem is a huge one in our country. And I think it's something that definitely plays a role in what we're seeing in our communities and what's going on in the world today. And I think we need to really bring men back into the family and make sure that the children or our young ones have men and father figures to look up to and emulate, and really get some kind of level of direction from in their life. So I'm passionate about that, and see what we can do.
Absolutely, man. We'll have to connect for sure. Like that, I mean, me and the company, right? Like that's my entire thesis statement, is our culture is where we're at right now, because fathers are either not present, or they are present and they're just doing a shitty job. Right.
Yeah.
And, how we're going to fix it is that right there. So, and it happens at the local level too, right? Not like broadly, but it happens with you as an individual, like you being the best version of yourself that you can be, setting that example for your kid. And then two, looking around your local community and making changes there too. So it starts at that level. And then, it's going to take a long time, but I truly believe that's how we're going to see generational change.
I'm with you 100%, brother. Yeah. That's kind of like I said, everybody wants to change the world, but I think we can all start by just changing in our local communities and making impacts there. So it doesn't have to be huge, but I think if you could change a single life, that means everything. And that's why, Instagram and social media and all those things, it's great to have as many followers as I do, and for people to follow me and like stuff. But it's those messages I get every now and then where it's just one person that says, "Hey, look what you said there," or how you were open about this or that, or what you did, it really impacted me and it made a change in my life. And I went out and did this and I achieved this. Those are the kind of things that mean the most to me. And I really want to grow that impact as much as I can, and help where I can. Because I think at the end of the day, that's the legacy I want to leave. It's my daughter being self-sufficient and being able to lead in her own life and be able to do the things she wants to do in her life. And then how can I impact other people's lives as well? Because at the end of the day, when I go to the grave, it's not going to be the money. It's not going to be the materialistic things. It's not going to be any of that. It's going to be, what did he do to change lives and impact lives? And that's what I want. And so, like I said, we'll see what we can do. Yeah.
Well, Jason, we'll end it on that, man. I think that's a great note to end it on. Where can people find you? I want to make sure they can, I'll link to Instagram, and if you have any information about the upcoming event in September, I'll definitely link to that. But where's the best place for folks to find you?
Yeah, so the only place really at this point is Instagram. It's J Floyd Wood. There's just the letter J, FLOYDWOOD.
Okay, you're not a TikTok superstar yet?
What's that?
You're not a TikTok superstar yet?
Oh gosh, my daughter wants to get on the tickety talk. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm on there just because I'll scroll through the videos. I've only made like 2 videos myself, but yeah, I don't know. Not me.
It makes me want to never give my daughter a phone.
Oh man,
Yeah.
trust me. Oh gosh, the things that you see on there and the things that you see, like just YouTube and all that kind of stuff, it's wild. But yeah, but yeah, the Instagram thing is kind of where everybody can find me. Follow the
Okay.
journey, and then as we kind of solidify some more of the information around the 200 mile or the 200 mile. I'm already setting a goal for myself. The 48 hour the 48-hour treadmill event. Yeah, I let it leak. Damn it. The 48-hour treadmill event. I'll put that out there on that channel as well. And then if we get some support there, we'd like to be able to create kind of a website that sends everybody to the fundraising sites and the organizations that are all supporting. So that's the next step here. So looking to do that fairly quickly and get on the roll.
Well, awesome, man. Yeah, as we close to the event, happy to share anything to the few people to follow the Epic Dad Co. We'll shoot your way, and we'll stay engaged, man. So, Jason, thanks for coming on, man. It's been a long time. We put this off. We should have done it. So I really appreciate you coming on, man, getting to know you, and just keep doing what you're doing, man. You're inspiring a lot of people. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, I think just you putting your message out there, is having an impact. So we need more people like you to be out there paving the way. So appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate you letting me talk about myself a little bit and putting things out there. And I hope, like I said, I hope people follow you because you're putting a great message out there. I think you got some great stuff going on in your life, and you're letting a lot of dads get the message that we need to get better at what we're doing and be more present. And also, again, we talked about it before. Congratulations on the supplement line. I can't
appreciate
wait.
it. Yeah,
I appreciate to see how that grows.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's got some work ahead of it, but super proud of it. And we'll get to the point where we're a household name. I'm confident of that. So
yeah.
All right, Jason. I appreciate it, man. And guys, we will see you on the next episode.